This time I'd ask for everyone to please rise and we'll recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rick, would you go please?
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity together today to do this county. And Lord, we pray that you'll be with all the people across the country and across the world in fighting the pandemic. Lord, I pray that you'll be with our servicemen and women as they fight for our freedom. God directs you with her today. Come back another day. Bless you. Thank you, pray. Amen. Amen. Put your dog. I think you're out there.
Under the highway department, we have a resolution for assessing utility.
Okay, so, over the last 10 or 11 months since I've become a county engineer, the utility permits have basically skyrocketed. And actually, we hired somebody to do, to help Yvonne in the learning position. She's going to be leaving in a few years, and it turned out basically she's turned into processing permits. I'm going to say 60 to 75% of her day is doing that. Whether it's utility permits or road permits, or side permits. But anyway, with the recent expansion of the fiber optics throughout the county, that's going to get worse over the next couple of years. I propose to raise the fee to $200 per permit. That covers up to 5 roads. So that's like $40 a route. So basically what this consists of is us holding all of our records together and running through and get establishing what the right of way is, and providing that information to the utility contractors, and typing in the permit, and develop a storage system for them so we can easily access those in the future. And the reason these permits are very important is because, let's say 10 years down the road, we have a construction project and they're in the way, these permits say you've got to get out of the way. You're county right away and you've got to. Without that, and we don't want them having this even a chance of establishing their rights against ours. Utility moves are very expensive, and they're on our right way to build it for them. So that's the purpose of this.
The same thing like IDOT.
IDOT does a utility fee also.
What was the
old fee, I believe, was it was not exact, so it was like up to 3 roads was $25, I think, and then 2 more roads was another $25. Don't recall the exact, but it's going up substantially, and you know, this is not even to cover our cost for the lady doing the work, and my time. I mean, I've been driving around checking, seeing what they're doing, because what happens is these guys, they go out and they put these boxes in the middle of the ditch, and then a year later we're out there trying to ditch, and we can't do it. Perfect example on Crenshaw Road, we had one right up to the pavement. I was trying to get it moved. Well, we tried to get it moved the last 2 years. Finally got it moved last week, just so we can fix a ditch issue out there. So this is also going to cover some time for me or some of my staff to go out and see what's going on. Monitoring things like water line installation up on the road. This summer I get a call, hey, stop sign's gone. Well, it doesn't hold inside the road to get underneath the road, and then just let the sign throw in the hole. Well, that's a liability issue for the county. So this is to cover some of the time and expense that the county's out permitting these guys to get on the right road.
All right, well, all I need is a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 21-11-0167.
Second.
Mr. Marlowe, for Gentry, Matheson.
Next up is resolution for IMRF FICA benefits for the county engineer.
Okay, so this is a resolution to pay for those items, out of, motor fuel tax funds. And that's in the amount of $30,000.
Instead of the local property tax. All right, Sheila.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. Yes, it's out of local property tax. Yes, that's correct.
Instead of,
County motor fuel tax funds.
instead of,
Instead of,
yeah,
Yes, that's it.
property tax levy.
make a motion to accept resolution 21-11-01-68.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Ray Gentry.
Hey.
Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Okay, next is resolution for salary of county engineer.
Okay, this is to pay for the county engineer out of both fuel tax funds and also to pay 50, and also to tell IDOT to give us 50% of those funds back in out of federal authorization for a total of $140,080.
The whole salary is paid out of motor fuel tax.
Both fuel tax and federal. So there's a federal allotment that comes down, IDOT reimburses the county's motor fuel tax for half of that out of the federal.
All right.
Some more discussion? Make a motion to accept resolution 21-11-01-69.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got, but I do want to take just a second to tell you guys I appreciate the opportunity to give me a big county engineer. It's been interesting, it's been a challenge, and looking forward to the next year. So
I can say that in my first year, I really appreciate you having this job.
I appreciate it.
Really, you've been a big help.
Well, I try. I try to be as much as a help as possible, but sometimes there's just certain things you can't do. But
Well, our highway department's been very active. You're doing a job.
yeah, we've got a lot of really neat projects coming up. We've had 2 bridges this year. We've got 2 more coming. Had 3 resurfacing projects.
And we got the bicycle.
And we got the cog. The cog is well underway being designed, so that's a neat entity. We've applied for some more grants. Hopefully we'll know about those pretty soon. Got 2 roundabouts coming. Grand Avenue and Cambria and Skyline, those are both being developed right now. So we hope to have those for construction in the next couple of years.
As you're busy.
Yep, it's a good program, so appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
And on top of all that, it's been pretty quiet out there.
On the other side of it.
Yeah, the other side's been very quiet. So.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's a good
It
thing.
wasn't that way years ago.
All right, is there any other old business we need to discuss?
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
See ya.
No, you don't know. Department head.
Well, I've got them under new business.
I'm running it.
Yeah, under new-
Oh, I don't know, are you old or, I don't know what you are, so I thought you said
We'll
that.
get you in just a second. Okay, under new business, we have animal control intergovernmental agreement between Williamson County and the village of Stonesport. Just need a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept that. I got one agreement.
Sorry.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Another win down there. Yeah.
Atkinson.
Going the short route.
Now we have a quarterly report. Now you're up.
Now you're up.
Okay, you can sit down now.
That's all right. I get it. I'm on board. I'm
I
on.
read
It's
that
not a big
when
deal.
you said that to me, Lord, the other day.
No, okay. It's,
I believe, right?
You mean the newsletter?
Yeah, the newsletter.
Yeah.
You don't have some stuff on there?
That's the October newsletter. You guys already have the,
Yeah. What was it for you said? Was it November?
yeah, it was. So I try to remember it out. Always get there, but, so this is the quarterly report, from, well, first quarter, so July 1st through September 30th. I changed the format because, we give a annual report that explains some of our programs. Certainly can explain more to you if you are interested. did I make somebody mine? Sitting here thinking, on the front of it, one of them on the front of it has stickers. I didn't come for it.
Well, you're off to a good start. So are you old or are you new?
Well, you started.
Are you old or new? That's the question.
Anyway, just wanted to highlight a couple of things. With the new grants that we've received, we've been able to hire about 18 new people. So we're about 49 right now, 8 of which are covered through the county. All of the other people are covered under grants. So we are now the lead hub, which you will see at the back. We're really proud of that. What that basically does is throughout the state, now we are identified as the lead hub for Southern Illinois, and that goes, if you look at this map, basically straight across here, all the way down, and that covers into other ROEs. And so when grants are become available, we're immediately contacted. And so there have been quite a few grants that ISB and other entities, ISU, who have blocked them, just immediately call us and say, are you interested in working with us? Absolutely. And so we're just able to bring so many more resources down here with that. And so with that, we've got the social emotional grant. We're working with all of the ROEs to develop their ROEs, and we're going to go out and work with their school districts. Of course, we've got our Partners Against Chronic Truancy. And Mr. Drew, I just wanted to say thank you so much. You've been working great with our new truancy officers and our new program. It's not like that in every county, so thank you. We've got the Illinois LD Special Educators Grant. Filing the grant to support our special educators with mentoring and support for new teachers as well as new special ed teachers, as well as traditional teachers, because they have to provide a lot of the special education services as well in their classroom. We're continuing to work with Resilient Southern Illinois, so that's just continuing to develop our trauma-informed practices with our staff, the alternative safe schools that we run. And let's see, and of course, all the ESSER and CARES money, so anytime that money comes out, we'll grab it. So whatever resources we can get, we're bringing it in. So being identified as a lead hub has certainly helped. We work really hard for that. I don't know, do you guys have any questions?
Is there a teacher shortage now or did you get?
Yeah.
Still is.
Still is, yeah. The report will be coming out, I think, late January, early February. We're going to have a report every year.
The reason I asked is the subs, I know we're really staying busy all the time, so I just.
They are, and we haven't been too affected with the vaccination mandate because testing is readily available for the schools, and so a lot of that is going on. You know, school bus drivers, we did lose some of them when all that came into play. Our substitute list has certainly dropped. And so, I don't know, maybe about a quarter of the people on the list just said, you know, we can deal with this. They're retired. And so we have lost some of that. But on the really good side is we have a lot of COVID going on in the schools. Quarantining, again, is still an issue, but not COVID. So that's very thankful for that. So schools are doing their best to just get this loss of learning going and try to get kids were up where they left off. Some of the things that we're really noticing is that, especially in our younger kids, elementary, junior high age, they're very immature. In this year about socializing and, you know, learning.
Well, my
To be
sister, my
responsible.
wife's sister, she says that, that they are way behind what typical sixth graders are.
Right. So, trying to work with social workers. Some of the things that we're really happy that we've been able to implement for this year, especially with all the social emotional learning and the money coming through for the school districts, they're starting to hire social workers, which, you know, only a few of our districts have those before. So we've developed a networking system, a cohort type thing, where they meet quarterly or more so with the social workers that we've been able to hire in our office through these grants, you know, the partners get chronic truancy grant, the social emotional learning grant, there's another one. You can't even remember all of them right now, but we're bringing them all together and providing a place for them to network and share some of the experiences they're having. And so having a network of people that you can kind of talk to who understands what's going on, because we've done that for superintendents all these years. We've started with our principals more frequently, curriculum directors, social workers, and we're going to start working on transportation directors, hopefully in the spring, because MAP 21 is coming out, which means that there's just things that the drivers have to do federally now. So we're just trying to keep up with the laws and applying on grants and moving forward in a positive manner. So.
School bus drivers, you have a problem with getting school bus drivers, I assume.
Jim would like an application.
No, thank you.
We're definitely seeing one. We're having a training coming up, all day Saturday.
My neighbor's a school bus driver.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he was telling me about all the training in the school. I had no idea.
There's a lot. In the regional office of education, we're the only people who are allowed to provide, we're mandated by law to provide those trainings. So nobody else can provide those. It's kind of been interesting with some of the other counties trying to, new boards asking like, what do you really do and why do you do it? And here's the code. You can read through here. Just same as all the other laws people like to write. So just within the code and statute, what we are expected to do, mandated to do. And in order to do those things, we have to go write grants because the state does not provide. 121, I went back up, 126,000 does not allow us to provide all the mandated.
Yeah, I think that's across all of them.
You're probably right, yeah. Yeah, the laws get written and then hand it off.
We're doing what we
Figure
can.
out how to. Any other questions? Just some of the things I put in that line in that folder, just some of our trainings and some of the things we've got going on. And that newsletter is a month old. So read the new one I sent you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now. Should I get back? Or you do that? I
See ya.
And then,
Anything up there?
yep, golden hours.
Your turn.
My turn. I appreciate you guys letting me come and speak to you this morning. I haven't gotten to meet you personally yet.
My turn.
I'm Nanette. I'm the director for Casa upstairs. So I haven't met you either. So I'm Nanette. I'm upstairs in that corner. Actually, we're going to be in the other corner. Probably by the end of this week as we start shifting everything down. We had our board meeting in October and realized that we hadn't come down to speak to you about how things are going with us and the status and to substantiate and validate the funding that you guys give to us. So just to give you a little bit of a brief overview, as what Lori was speaking to, it's been a little bit of a challenge for us. We, from year to date, we have already served 200 children in our agency, which doesn't mean anything to you. But last year, for the entire year, we only served 178 for the entire year. The year before that, I think, was pretty much around the same. So we've already seen an increase in the number of children served, and we still have November and December yet to go. Jennifer is actually over at the courthouse right now doing, or she's attending a shelter care for our 108th new child that has come into the system. 108. Again, we're in November. Last year, because of the pandemic, we had a huge decrease in the number of children that came into care, largely due to them not being in school, being around other people. There aren't a lot of reports done. A lot of the children are quarantined at home. So the new children coming into care last year, I think, was 76. The year before was 126. So that shows you the difference from the children being exposed to school, being exposed to other people, and how many children were being left in homes last year. dangerous homes. So this year, like I said, we're already at 108. I'm sure we're going to far exceed that number. Our record number of 126 in 2019. So I'm fully expecting that. Our busy season, so to speak, is typically in December, whenever the holidays come around. People are high stress, people are at home, and things start to happen, and we end up getting a huge increase of shelter care towards the end of December. So I fully expect us to surpass that 126 after 2019. It sounds like we're serving a lot. Like I said, 200 kids for the year, and we're only in November. Strangely enough, this is the lowest service level that we've ever been at. I think we're only serving 52% of the children that are in there. Whenever I look at numbers today and how many children we are serving actively right now versus how many cases are open, it does show a really low service level rate, which is really disappointing. Additionally, I ran numbers this morning. We are operating with 43 active advocates, which is the lowest number of advocates we've ever had. Recruitment is an issue. Recruitment is very difficult. People aren't wanting to go into homes. They're not wanting to volunteer their time. We aren't the only local program that is struggling with this. All the classes in the state and the nation really are having difficulty with the recruitment. So we're trying to ramp up recruitment efforts, trying to think outside the box, trying to think of other ways for outreach. Of course, due to the pandemic, of course, due to social restrictions, we're not able to do as many fundraisers as we've been able to do, which has always served twofold. We have your fundraiser that gets out information, and we can kind of market ourselves and do a little outreach, but we just haven't been able to do that. So the fundraisers have basically died down. Outreach has died down. Our recruitment efforts are just, we're struggling. So we're trying to think of new ways. In addition, last year we ended up losing our largest funding source, BOCA, our largest grant that was through no fault of our own. Actually, it was because they had a decrease in the number of grant partners. So instead of handing out, I think, 53 small grants, they just handed out 12 really large ones to large counties. So I don't even know if anyone south of this area even received a BOCA grant. It wasn't due to anything that we had done wrong, any reporting errors, any service level errors, just simply they decided to restructure.
That's a state grant. That's from the state, not federal.
It's both.
Both are.
It's both, federally and state. We do still have, that one is kind of overseen by ICJA, which is the Illinois Criminal Justice Authority. Again, federal, that part is federal. We are receiving a grant, a temporary grant, the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding, but that has to be geared more towards like an educational liaison aspect, which we do as part of the process. We want to follow the child through the education process, but we don't provide tutoring for people on those lines. So that is scheduled to end December 31st. They may end up renewing it for the calendar year 2022. We haven't heard much about that yet. BOCA was also supposed to restructure and allow us an funding opportunity for us to kind of restructure our ask with our grant. But I haven't heard anything about that yet either. So it'll be promising. I think because of the staffing issues that they have there, they're wanting to keep the low number of grants and then just extend what they've already put out. So this is a little bit of a crunch. We're still with the Violent Crimes Victim Association, so we're still getting our friends through that. So that's good. Not a whole lot, but what's that?
How much was the BOCA grant?
BOCA?
How much did you get from it?
So with the indirect costs and all that fun stuff, I think it was about 88,000. I'm really hopeful that we'll get some type of a no vote that'll allow us to ask again. So it's a little difficult. The loss of the grant, the loss of our fundraising opportunities, it's a little bit of a challenge, but we're making it. We're doing okay, and we're going to take everything that we have and kind of funnel it into some recruitment efforts so that we can grow our training classes and serve a higher number of children. So, any questions? Just kind of, I didn't bring any, like, I give you guys newsletters. I guess I can brought my own newsletter.
Hers are even colored. The color that you get is good.
Was that the color?
They're colored, when she gives us.
Mine are colored?
Okay, good, perfect.
They are like on slick paper.
I'm
and
really,
folded.
okay, you win then. I'm impressed.
Okay, you said you lost, I understand, because of COVID, and I think the opportunity to do a lot of funding and stuff. So, coming out of COVID or kind of maybe, that's a good term, what are your plans for fundraising going forward?
We discussed, we had, before the mask mandate kind of started back over, we were going to go ahead and do our music trivia that we had planned. We decided to push that off, and we'll likely do that in January and February now. We want to do an advocate appreciation dinner, which isn't necessarily a fundraiser, but more like an outreach and an appreciation for the advocates that we do have. I think out of the local programs, I'm either number 1 or number 2 for the highest retention rate. So our advocates stick around, we like it. So we want to do that and continue with the retention for that. But for the fundraising, we're probably going to try the music trivia again, and maybe look at another smaller fundraiser in the summer. We're doing our winter campaign right now, where we send out our letters just asking for support. We typically net around $12,000 after that. And that was the one half of the Casas for Casa fundraiser that we did. We would send out sponsorship letters and receive sponsorships, and then also sell tickets for the playhouses. And the playhouses, that fundraiser was all at the venue. We're losing about $12,500 off of that, but we're still maintaining our people sending in just their donations and support for our campaign. So we're trying to think outside the box. We're trying to be creative. It is. It's really kind of crazy. People just aren't wanting to give their time. And we have meetings, regional meetings, statewide meetings, director meetings, all these meetings to discuss why, what happened, and we have an answer. I think it's, like I said, people just aren't willing to give their time and go into houses, or they just don't expose themselves. I really don't know. So everyone is struggling. We're all trying to brainstorm and figure out a better way.
With COVID, it's difficult going into people's homes.
It is, and we respect however they want us to approach it. Most of the time they're fine, it's okay, but we have had a couple instances where there was a little struggle, but I think that COVID was deemed as a reason for us not in the house. Try to be as PC as possible here. Yeah, they're just trying to hide things, and they hide because of COVID. So, yeah.
Tim, what, just so you know, so what she's saying, the funding from the county is, we would give them $25,000. We take it out of the gaming proceeds, we take, as some people look at bad money, turn it into a good thing, which is coffee, you can't get any better.
Thank you. We try. Any questions for me? I know that was a really quick. I read well. Sorry. We had a late night with our mentoring meeting last night, our addiction recovery team, so.
So you got addiction, so how's your addiction doing? Good?
I mean,
Improving.
that's what it is. Well, thank you, and obviously, if you have any questions, run upstairs, and we'd be happy to talk with you. If you have any questions about CASA or what it is that we do, I'm more than happy to sit down with you and explain all that. I'm upstairs, available anytime.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. You as well.
Thanks, Diana.
Take care. All right. Moving on, we have a raffle pool run license for the American Legion.
I will get it to you though. I did fill out claim, I promise, but I'll get it to you.
Does everything look okay on this? Have you looked at this?
Yes, Stephanie provided me with the application. I don't remember if it was Friday or yesterday, but I have had a chance to look at it. It looks like it complies with our ordinance. It looks like the application's in order. This is something they do every year.
Okay. With that, just need a
Any motion? A motion to accept Pokemon license for the Ramsey Post 127
I was thinking, I got 2 of these, did I get the lucky badge, I get 2 of them in the packet? Same
You
one?
have 2 of them?
Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that was what, that must be why I was short one, had to make another copy.
Marlo, Gentry, Samantha.
Yep.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes. If you want to start running out of gas, it's last name, and then it's just the initials after that.
Yeah.
I did that, thanks for the thought.
All right, I'll read the minutes that we approved. I need a motion, or I make a motion to accept the minutes of the September 9th, 2021 meeting.
September 29th,
September 29th, 2021.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry,
Yes.
Atkinson,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the September 30th, 2021.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry,
Yay.
Atkinson,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of October 4th, 2021.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry,
Yay.
Atkinson,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the October 5th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry, Atkinson,
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of the October 12th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry, Atkinson,
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of the October 13th, 2021.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yay.
Gentry,
Yay.
Atkinson,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the October 20th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Marlowe,
Okay.
Gentry, Atkinson,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the October 25th, 2021 meeting.
Marlowe, Gentry,
Thank you, AB. Yay. Man. Word.
All right, we have under accept reports. I guess we just accept the building permit report, oh, it's a building permit report for October. And the Williamson County Clerk's Bible records for September, Williamson County Clerk's fees account for September, the Williamson County Clerk's real estate trust for September, and the Williamson County Clerk's mobile home trust for September. I'll make a motion to accept those.
you just read those in.
Okay. Now comes the fun.
And one resolution for tonight.
Oh, yeah. We have a resolution relating to participation by elected officials in Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
Need a motion to approve this?
This just basically states that we will be participating in the Illinois IMRF
Yes, they have to do this
every year.
a couple of years a year,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So-
you
I
need to
make
make
a
a
motion,
motion.
since I don't participate in this, I make a motion to accept this resolution 21-11-09-70.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry, Atkinson,
How are we gonna split these up?
I'll read it till I get tired.
Oh,
You gonna do the first page, not the second?
Yeah,
All right.
all right, Liberated was.
everybody take a drink?
Yeah,
It is not alcohol down there, is it?
Okay, motion to approve sale to the owner, City of Cool Springs, 11-26-433-006.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry,
Yay.
Atkinson,
Yeah, motion to approve sale to the owner, City of Cool Springs, 11-26-432-007.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry,
Yay.
Atkinson,
Okay, motion to approve sale to the owner, City of Herron, 02-30-376-021.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry, Atkinson,
Yeah, motion to approve sale to the owner, City of Carterville, 05-11-152-005.
Second.
Atkinson,
Yeah,
Gentry,
Yay.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
motion to approve sale to the owner, Sean Hughes, and 01-27-207-007.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry, Atkinson,
We labored.
I'm working here.
Which one of you seconded that?
Hey,
You did,
we're
okay,
gonna keep the same thing going.
okay.
Okay, Motion to approve sale to new owner Captain Pratt, 02-30-404-009.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Paula Murphy, 02-244-277-015.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Michelle Benjamin, 13-023-86.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Is that number correct?
Yes, that's probably a one.
Okay.
I would think.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Tanya Welch, 01-27-229-014.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Rodney Hubble, 07-06-402-015.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Brianna M. Marshall, 11-25-359-002.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner Aaron G. Frames, 08-06-456-009.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner City of Marion, 06-24-326-046.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to new owner David W. Lima, 05-30-477-014.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
I got that on the tongue twister. Motion to approve sale to the owner, Monique L. Coverson, 02-19-404-004.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, City of Marion, 06-13-226-001.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-07-330-017.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Abu Care Smith Developments, 0118-128-018.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Kimberly Ann Talley, 01-22-461-001.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Michael Kimberly, 01-25-281-004.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-002.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-003.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-004.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-005.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
You want me to finish these or you want to go?
Do it at the land, if you don't, I'll take over.
I'm on the roll.
Okay, sit on.
Okay. Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-006.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-007.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Meeks, 01-27-129-008.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Yates, 01-27-279-007.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Steve Yates, 01-32-401-006.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Joshua Tree Associates LLC, 01-330-330-001, 002, 003.
Second.
Do I need to read each one of those?
Wait a
separately?
second.
That's what mine says. You want to read each one separately?
Zero, oh, you started with 02. No,
No, I started with 02, 19,
okay.
330.
No, it's all on the same document, so.
Okay.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Ezra Lee Waddy, 02-19-481-012, 013.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, David Thompson, 02-24-233-010.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Jeremy Pence, 03-18-377-006.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Charles Stout, 03-18-489-006.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, James A. Smith, 05-29-403-018, 019, 020.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, James A. Smith, 05-29-403-021, 022, 023.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, James A. Smith, 05-29-403-024, 025, 026.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Anthony Hazel, 05-29-454-036, 037, 038.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Anthony Hazel, 05-29-455-010, 011, 012.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Timothy R. Vinson, 05-30-458-004.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, David W. Remond, 05-30-477-013.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Evan L. Betts, 06-02-400-048.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Billy P. Cadle, 07-06-400-008.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, John Ryan Warrack Senior, 07-19-136-404.
Second.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Carl E. Wolf, 10-23-100-025.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Mark A. Phelps, 11-31-252-004.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Brandon Keck, 11-31-252-008.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry. Atkinson.
Motion to approve sale to the owner, Bart A. Masters, 13-012-57.
Marlowe.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah.
Atkinson.
You can now have a drink.
Hey, that was painless, that was nothing.
Hard to stay away.
Okay. Under committee and board appointments, we have a resignation letter of Jim Bales. So please accept this letter of resignation. I've enjoyed my many years of service on the board and appreciate the opportunity to be a part of a very worthwhile effort. And this is the 708 mental health board. I will continue my role as treasurer until the completion of the current audit and a successor can be named and the necessary banking changes are made. I would like for these items to be completed no later than November 1st, 2021. Wish the board continued success. Sincerely, Jim Bales. Jim has been on there for quite a while. Jim's done an excellent job. And
He's a
so
good guy.
we just need a motion to accept his letter
I
of
make that
resignation.
motion to accept that one.
Marlowe,
Okay.
Gentry, Atkinson.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, we have an appointment to the Williamson County Mental Health 708 Board. I have this letter that says, Dear Mr. Marlowe, I'm writing this letter on behalf of the Williamson County Mental Health 708 Board to request the appointment of Ms. Mindy Reed to the 708 Board. We ask that Ms. Reed's appointment begin immediately upon your approval. Thank you for your consideration of this request. Sincerely, signed, Michelle, the president of the Williamson County Mental Health Board. So as Jim has stepped down, Michelle has appointed Mindy Reed to replace Jim. Let's see. Mindy will be hereby appointed to serve the remainder of the term commencing on today's date and due to expire December 31st, 2023. So we have the appointment of Mindy Reed to replace Jim Bales on 708. We just need a motion to accept that.
I make a motion to accept resolution number 21-11-019-70.
Second.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry, Atkinson.
We have another appointment here. The Commissioners, our monthly board meeting on October 18th, we voted all in favor of recommending the county board to appoint Chad Franklin to fill our board of trustees vacancy, Williamson County seat, for consideration. And it's signed by the board chairman. I'm not quite sure, something, you know who that is? Frederick?
Yeah, Frederick?
Frederick
Eaton?
Eaton.
Frederick Eaton.
The chairman of the board signs it
Burnside Water District.
for the Burnside Water District. So, Chad Franklin, they're asking for Chad Franklin to be appointed to serve the remainder of the 5-year term commencing on today's date, due to expire April 30th, 2022. So we just need he'll be filling the vacancy of Alan McCabe. I do
Alan
believe
passed away.
Yeah, he passed away a while back. So we just need a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 21-11-019-70.
Marlowe,
Yeah.
Gentry, Atkinson.
We have a travel reimbursement for myself, the UCCI meeting that I attended, in a hotel stay there. The total amount is $335.97.
Let me make a motion to accept and approve travel reimbursement for Commissioner Marlowe in the sum of $335.97.
I'll second, but remember this 207.31, we're over. So we never did up that, we stopped in Commissioner line items, we never did finish the Commissioner office or
Right,
budget.
so over.
Better do something like that in budget.
We need to do something with that. Yeah, because
I'll.
there's been a couple that I'd like to go to, but I know.
At this meeting, they were discussing the wind farms. A while back, they had a meeting on solar farms. And the wind farms, the guy is very informative. He gave the whole map of the state of Illinois, where the wind farms are most effective. But the majority of it is in central to north central
It's a
Illinois.
flat part,
Yeah.
not so much in Williamson
And-
County.
but the majority of them is in northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Southern Illinois, it's not very good.
Brent, I actually talked to this guy back about 5 months ago. And asked him, I said, come down here. I said, we would love to give a presentation.
It's not flat enough. Well,
I know flat
The
ones,
hills,
no,
the
it's-
hills, that's
it's
the way
the
they were
hills,
presenting
the hill.
it. They do studies on wind speed, and I think up in northern Illinois, the average speed is 10 miles an hour, average. And that's what they're looking at, they're looking for an average. And,
We
down
just
here,
can't generate that much
we
wind.
don't generate that much wind unless it's in one of our meetings.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty good.
I did my best to get this guy to come over and talk to us. He would come, he just said nobody's gonna invest because we just simply cannot produce enough wind power to power the
But-
windmills.
Before we do that, I would suggest that we look into the parameters of what we can allow, because I know there were some issues even with the solar farms. Them coming in, them establishing something, and then what if stuff goes wrong? What are the parameters? How close can they put those things to residents, residential houses or other buildings? Of course, if you go on YouTube, you see some disasters. These things have high-speed telemarks, and they may fall down on it or whatever.
I know what related to that. We don't have zoning, people number one.
We don't have zoning.
So, I know some that are closer than others. I don't know who sets the regulations on how close. I look at some, right against the house, some are far
Well,
away, I don't know.
I think,
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the counties have certain abilities to set those parameters. But there's a push for the legislature with the lobbyists of these farms, these solar farms, wind farms, to take that right away from counties to establish those parameters. So
Kinda like the
that's,
statewide.
but we did this, if you recall back a few years ago, we did the same thing with the cell tower. Because at the time, the presentation was, it's mainly in larger cities, they put these cell towers everywhere. And it's just, you've got to have some restrictions on where they can, where they can't. So,
I need to do roll call on that.
but we,
There was a motion out there.
Yeah, I got a second. I just
Who
need to
made
do
the
roll call.
motion?
You gonna do initials this time?
Tim, Chinch,
TA?
TA,
See, what, did we have a second on that?
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
TA?
Yes.
VG,
Okay.
again,
I'll
Go out of order, nobody knows what's going on.
all right, let's see. Other than that, I did, before, just as the meeting got started, I just want to let everybody know here that Tony Baxter did try to reach out to me. I just sent him a text that I'll call you back later. So I don't know if we need to do that now while we're in the board meeting, or later this afternoon.
I believe he tried to call me also. I don't have his number saved in my phone, but it was in Iowa and it was just as the meeting started.
Okay, so do we want to do that now, or do you want to do that this afternoon? or-
I'm available all day, so whatever the board's
Let's
convenience
do it
is.
this afternoon.
Okay.
That would be my.
You want to send me a text back, I'll call this afternoon, you don't.
Why don't you go ahead and do it?
I'll do that, and then, is there any other business? One other thing I do want to bring up, I had a phone call, some lady, had called me, and it was about a noise issue out at Lake Egypt area.
I had the same call.
Yeah, and I invited her to come to the meeting, and she didn't show. She said she was gonna come, but, it was concerning, a bar that, had built a stage and was having loud music, and evidently, according to her, the music was extremely loud, extremely late, loud music. But as we checked into it, we don't really have an ordinance on it. I don't know what the board's desire is on that. I know some pros and cons. I know
That is a slippery slope.
we don't have the means to enforce other than send a deputy out there. We don't have the means to record decibel levels or anything like that. So I don't know, I'm just bringing it up for discussion.
Well, she sent an email and I sent it on to Benny, and there were deputies down there twice. They kept saying we don't have an ordinance, but in fact, we do have an ordinance that will take care of that. So they can disorderly conduct is what they can write it under. And then he said he was going to talk to the guys that went down there. They may not know we can do that. And he's gonna tell them they can't. So, whether that fixes the problem, I don't know. But this is a big band, well-known name band, and they're good. There's no doubt about it, but they have a young child. Pick them up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But disorderly conduct's been written many times for noise ordinance, so.
Well, I would favor doing that and writing a special ordinance.
Well, I talked about the county, they don't really want to talk about that.
No,
Where's it in?
well, that's the thing, where does it end?
Your neighbor's yelling next door, is that noise? I mean, that's,
And every person's come to my office and complained about their neighbor having something wrong with their property. When asked, well, would you like to have ordinances so that we can regulate what you do on your property? Well, no, that's why we need the county. So, no, they want to regulate their neighbors, but not themselves.
they can write that you.
Drew, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, just provide the board some information, I guess. In my experience dealing with municipalities, which I understand is a little bit on a smaller level than what we're dealing with here, but I think it's still applicable. You do open up a can of worms when you try to enforce a noise ordinance. We could draft one, we could craft it, we could look at it line by line, word by word, and just make sure it's airtight. That's not the problem. The problem would be on enforcement. As Tim and Brent both said, the sheriff's deputies have the power to go out there, and if it is being loud, if it's provoking a breach of the peace, is what the statute says, they can write a disorderly conduct citation. It's a criminal misdemeanor. It actually happens to be a case on my docket that I handle. The state's attorney's office will prosecute those cases to the full extent of the law, and if that's something that can maybe curb this, where the board can deal with these on a case-by-case basis, instead of having to have a blanket ordinance, and that's the way you'd like to go, we can start approaching it and see if that helps the problem.
I think the first thing too would be just to make a phone call to the bar owner. Let them know.
Absolutely.
Say, listen, we're getting some phone calls on this, and this is a way that it could be dealt with.
Is there any kind of mechanism to challenge their liquor license if they have something like this?
You can do, yeah, absolutely can. I mean, but you don't want to go that far. Here's the situation you run into. This has happened on this one. People, they want to complain about stuff, but they don't want to sign their name to let the bar know that they're the one signing the complaint, afraid they're going to take something out of them. It's just like in abuse cases, they don't want to sign against them and blah, 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 they want to complain. They don't want to sign the complaint form where the sheriff says, this is from, Andrew Purcell,
And
your neighbor.
maybe my office needs to have a conversation with the sheriff's department and kind of explain, at least from our perspective, when we're prosecuting a disorderly conduct case, the amount of involvement we need from the complainant, I don't call him the victim, but from the complainant. It's typically very minimal. Sometimes the deputies do ask for a statement to be written. We don't always need that. If we can get a probable cause statement notarized by the deputy, that's enough to file the charge.
There you
Well,
go.
because the deputies have told this lady, and the state lady explained to me that the deputies were blaming the board. Not.
Yep.
Yeah. Without.
We're not having a noise ordinance. And I explained to her and her husband
That's exactly what she said.
that they can write a ticket. In fact, if they so choose, maybe they don't know that, but then the sheriff take care of it. So that's the way we left it.
I think that'd be a good idea just to give them a call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people get scared about signing that complaint.
Right.
And I think the chairman is right also, maybe a phone call to the bar specifically probably from the chairman, who might be best, as liquor commissioner, and just say, look, we've had some issues. There have been some complaints, at this point, no negative action has been taken, but we would just kindly request that you guys do your part to try to ensure these complaints don't happen, in the future. You don't need to be having the band and the loud music at, 2:30 in the morning, use your common sense. That may, curb some of the issues.
The good news is, it's going on winter time, so that's over with now.
Do we know what time that complaint came in, what time it was?
Yeah, between 12 and 1 o'clock.
That's too late, that's too late.
That's another issue you run into if you decide, hey, this stuff isn't gonna work, we need to do a blanket type of ordinance, is, what time do you put out there? That's a problem, and sometimes midnight's too late, 1 o'clock's too late, sometimes 11 o'clock's too late, depending on when it is.
One was about 12, 20.
The bars can operate until 1:30 in the morning, so,
Well, they can
I just-
operate inside, but can they operate outside where
if they
the
have,
noise is unimpeded to the neighbor?
they can operate outside, the noise is another issue. Because the license is good for in on the premises. So, in the parking lot, anywhere, to the premises.
There was a certain piece, when I predicted it, it's already found that with on the famous bar right here last
So if there's anything else, we can talk about.
We recess and reconvene.
Or if you wanna meet this afternoon to call Mr. Baxter.
We're gonna be meeting anyway.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, yeah, and so we'll need you here.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, motion to recess and reconvene until 1:15 PM today.
I always want to say this is that no matter what he says, I'm firm. I'll make a second.
You second that?
Jim Marlowe?
For the recess and reconvene.
I think you're probably gonna second that too.
Brett Ginger?
Yeah.
I suppose.